Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to announce that Smooth Sack Summer is officially upon us. When you're playing in the summer sun, make sure you're groomed from the pubes to bum. Thanks to our friends at Manscaped, you can make this season your smoothest yet. The Performance Package 5.0 Ultra is the ultimate bundle to keep your boys downstairs cool while looking hot. Join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with our exclusive offer. Get 20% off and free shipping when you go to manscaped.com and use the code SHOW20. Summertime, and the trimming is easy. The Manscaped Performance Package 5.0 Ultra has got everything you need to prepare that summer bod. Every man knows how scary it is when you get close for a shave below the belt, and that's why I trust Manscaped for all my sensitive areas. Okay, now inside the package you're going to find the star of the show, the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. The 5th generation trimmer features 2 interchangeable next-gen skin-safe blade heads, a standard one for taking a little bit off the top, and then a new foil blade for going smooth wherever your heart desires. Plus, they've also got dual LED spotlights to provide contrast on multiple skin tones, 3-length setting combs, and did I mention that trim is waterproof? Beach, lake, shower, this razor will devour even the strongest pubes. And now that you've got the perfect haircut, use Manscaped's liquid formulations to keep that freshness even at the hottest summer barbecues. The Crop Soother Aftershave Lotion and Crop Preserver Anti-Chafe Ball Deodorant. Once they touch your sack, you will never go back. So get 20% off and free shipping with the code SHOW20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code SHOW20 at manscaped.com. It's Smooth Sack Summer, boys. Get on board or get left behind. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the FM Show. I am your host Tony Jameson, and joining me as always is the one and only RDF Tactics, Aaron Falloon. How are you, pal? Are you well?
Yes, we're all well. We are all well. By the way, the Champions League final is playing as we're recording.
It's happening right now.
It's happening
the
right now.
dedication we've got to this podcast that we weren't going to watch the Champions League final. We're going to record this instead.
Tony did ask if I wanted to watch it, and I'm just like, you know what? Because again, like going back to the other episodes, because I've been like so into the Bulgarian and the football that's still on during their season, it's like, I don't know, I don't mind missing out on this because I still got a lot of football to watch anyway. And plus, I'll be watching it after as well, so it's not.
So the question was, Aaron, do you mind missing the Champions League? And then actually, I've still got me tea that I haven't finished. So we both made sacrifices tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
Really, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I think we're looking forward to another fantastic show. Thank you, by the way, to everyone who has watched and sent us lovely comments regarding last episode with Musterman. That has gone down an absolute storm. So we've got to say a massive shout out to Musterman and the Moneyball episode. If you haven't seen it, pop a pin, pause this episode now, go back to it, watch it, listen to it, come back and join this one as well. It was amazing, really, really good. We'll get Musterman back on again to talk more attributeless stuff and stats and data and Moneyball as we go through. I'm also going to say as well, at time of recording, it's the 1st of June. So happy Pride Month, by the way, to everyone who celebrates Pride. So just of course, if there's any sort of ambiguity as to where we stand, obviously, we're allies, so you're more than welcome to join us. So hope you're having a fantastic month. Of course, that's what we should say to you all. So big love to the lot of you. Pinch
punch, 1st of the month, no returns.
Oh, you've done knee backsies already? I didn't realise we were doing a school episode.
It's also my birthday month as well, so I'm quite... I don't know if I'm excited. I don't know how to feel at the moment.
Birthday month? What are you, 7? Come on, Darren.
Oh, no. It's in this house, it's birthday months. I mean, we're going... Yeah, might even be just years. Every year we're just celebrating. It's your birthday this year, right? Yeah.
Aaron, you're right. Yeah, every year we celebrate a birthday. Every single year.
We should celebrate. Oh, yeah. Every year.
Okay, is it a big birthday this year, or is it just a...
I genuinely, my son knows how old, and it's annoying because someone would ask me out in public and he would just jump in the conversation like, 31! I'm like, all right, I was gonna say 29 or something.
Kids love telling people how old people are. Like it's the
Yeah,
thing. Like
yeah, they
my
love it.
my eldest, it's his birthday next month, and he's been walking around saying he's 5 3/4. I'm like, no, that's 6, and that's next month.
Yeah.
So he's like, no, I'm 5 3/4. I was like, okay, mate, it's just easier for me to say yes at this point.
Oh yeah. So I think it's at 30. Yeah, 32nd, 32nd birthday. Yeah.
32nd birthday. Good. You're looking well for it, man. You're looking very, very well.
Thank you,
You know,
thank you. The
yeah.
grey hairs are coming through, but oh man, my brother's got like greys in his bed, and I was just so jealous, man. I'm just like, yeah, I can't wait. Hurry up,
mate,
time. Come on.
honestly, I used to think that because I'm, again, if there's listeners who are brand new, welcome in, by the way, to a male grooming podcast, which we now have. I'm 44, and I was like sort of conscious, like when I was getting like into my 30s, I was like, I don't really fancy going grey, and like I was a bit worried about it all. But honestly, man, the amount of silver I've got through my hair now, like I've got the frosting on the side, I've got a lot through the top, I've got the bits of beard, and like, I'm loving it. Mrs. J's having none of it. She's like, you need to start dyeing this. I was like, nah, this is me now.
Yeah, I'm gonna love it. I'm at the moment where it's just coming through, so it's a bit patchy and doesn't make sense at the moment. But when it comes to when it starts to come through, I'm pretty excited for that.
You should be, man. But what's interesting, because I went for a lovely haircut as well. We will get to the football manager bit in a second, but I went for a lovely haircut there this morning, and there's something about sitting and seeing all the hair that's around you, but then just seeing how much grey is in there as well. And I'm like, well, there's more than there was last month.
Oh my
God. Yeah, soon there will just be grey on the floor, but. But you know what? Never mind. It's one of those things. I put it down to stress for this game, to be honest. There you go. There's the link. That's why we can talk about with that. We should talk about where we are with regards to stress and Football Manager. Aaron, have you been playing much of the game this week, or has it all been a bit of a quiet week on tactics videos? And
it's another quiet week. It's another quiet week. Yeah, I get this thing where like I do get into a save, and I'm just like, I want to stream it. But at the same time, I know what happens every time I stream, and I'm not getting into that again. Well, it takes over my life.
You started Build a Nation. You didn't start Build a Nation. You started a Regionaire in Greater Manchester, Lancashire. Rochdale. Are you still playing that offline, or is it just like
I paused it, but that was it? When I stream again, that will be what I return to. But I can't. I'm not disciplined. I'm like, there's just no discipline. I can plan a save. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna do a Regionaire thing, and it's just like 2 streams a day, then once one day, and then back to 2, then back to 2. But what I've noticed is that a lot of people, it's hard for a viewer to catch up with that because they obviously can't always be in a stream twice a day, and then the next day, and then the next day, and then how fast I play as well. By the time they come back, it's like we're in a whole different league. It's a whole different league and everything. Yeah, so that's what. And I kind of felt it with the save before, and I already felt it early on with this save. We just done like 4 streams, but because I've done 2 in one day, already people asking, "Oh, what happened?" Blah blah blah, and it wasn't because they missed a stream, like a day of stream. It's because they literally missed a stream when I streamed 2 times in that day. So it's just like, it wasn't it's not their fault why they missed it. Basically,
it's a big undertaking, isn't it? Because I remember when the last couple of games have come out, like since I've started streaming on Twitch, and we'll put the links, of course, are in the description. Going, what are these guys on about with streaming? We stream over on Twitch and YouTube as well. We'll link them both up so they both work together because we're allowed to do that now. But when the game came out, so like when FM23 and FM24 came out, I had these long-term save plans, and obviously, Mrs. J was like, well, you've done the live show the day before the games come out or the day the game comes out.
Yeah,
you're gonna get back home first thing in the morning. You're gonna be streaming, and I was like, yeah, but I'm not starting my save in the afternoon because I stream in the evening. So all of my crew and my audience and my chat are expecting me on the evening. So I can't start a long-term save in the morning. It's not fair on them that they're going to miss out on all the good stuff and meeting the squad and seeing the players. And so I used that moment then to sort of like finish off my my beta save or something. Maybe I'll just have a bit play around. Or I think this year I just got back and just chilled out and try to prep some stuff and that. But twice a day streamer, man. I don't think if you've got the same audience Like, if you've got two separate audiences, it's a bit unfair on them, I think, especially when you've got a big save on
Yeah,
the board
yeah,
you don't
yeah,
need to pay
yeah.
attention with.
Yeah, but I love it, man. I don't. I love
Yeah,
it.
because you're an animal. That's why. Like, you're probably just like, I'm a machine. I'm ready to go. Like,
And the reason I stream like as well as the length of the streams as well. It's not even just the fact. If it was like 2.5 hours, then
Mm.
maybe I can get away with that still. But because it's literally I'm going 4 hours a stream, sometimes more. So
But
sometimes it can rack up 10 hours in the day. Yeah.
you go on vibes, don't you? Like, right, you'll wake
Yeah.
up and you're like, right, I'm not feeling it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll maybe
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
something. Or
Yeah.
like, you'll wake up, oh, we got a lot to do today. And it's like, start the
And then you get
machine up,
that
we're
thing,
good.
right? It's like I get 2.5 hours and I'm looking at the time, I'm like, yeah, it's about that time you sort of kind of start winding it down and that. But then it's like you lose a game or something, and it's just like, yeah, you're not losing, we're not ending on that. Or even you winning a game and they're like, but if I end it here, I'm gonna load it up tomorrow. I know I'm just gonna start losing, so I'm just gonna keep trying to get as many games as I can. Yeah, and that's what happens. Yeah, so I'm like 2.5 hours. I'm looking at the clock, and the next minute I'm like, oh man, I've got to go.
Yeah.
The kids are waiting downstairs.
That knock on the door has happened 3 times now. Like, we got to go. We got to go.
Mine's the WhatsApp. Yeah.
Did you start playing around with any data led stuff after our chat with Musterman? I know you were saying you might start doing some attributeless things. Have you done much this week on that, or playing around in the background?
I just scoured. I didn't use the data. I was just looking around, just trying to find some what do I call it, quirky players, sort of thing.
Players, I like
yes,
quirky
they
players.
might be lacking in one area, but they're really good in another sort of thing. A bit like, I don't know if you can say Doku at Manchester City, where he's just very good on the ball, dribbling. You can't get the ball off him, but then he's not quite Phil Foden with the technical ability sort of thing. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what I've been trying to look out for.
Interesting. I've been trying to do a bit of the data stuff myself, not as much as I have done previously, I must admit.
Yeah,
we've had a bit of a summer clear out at Larissa, so we finished. I did mention, didn't I? Season 13. We ended up finishing second. So we got Champions League again. So we're very, very happy about that. And I was looking at the squad, thinking, okay, there's a couple of areas we need to improve upon, and there's a couple of areas that if players leave, we'll replace. So I wasn't actively looking to recruit, but maybe 1 or 2 areas. Obviously, I would have liked a striker because I had the 2 best strikers in the Next Gen 50 series. So player 1 and 2 were both mine. They were like a 21-year-old Ivorian who unfortunately ended up going to Saudi Arabia for 10 million quid, and a 19-year-old Greek lad who, on the face of it, ties exactly what you'd say there. Attributes wise, you look up and you go, you just skip past this kid. And we were like, well, we didn't. We brought him in, and we're pushing him to be something.
Yeah.
And he just sort of does the business for us. Right? And he's fine. But we needed another striker to go in there. So I was like, right, who are we going to go for? And that was our main focus. And maybe we wanted someone else in midfield if needed.
Yeah.
We wanted to clear out some midfield as well, though, because we had a lot of central midfielders, both attacking and defensive.
Yeah.
We didn't really have anyone who could replace Job, because we're playing him as a regista. And we've got Bergval, who played as a regista. But Bergval went off to Lazio. So we were definitely in need of someone to fill that position. And I couldn't quite find someone for that position, but I did find someone to play as an advanced playmaker who was a little bit special. And I've been calling him Luka Modric, because he's a 23-year-old Croatian who has all of the attributes at once, and he's just collected them, okay? His media description is cultured attacking midfielder, which at 23, I think if you've got that, that's not too shabby, is it? He's got, I'm just going to pull his attributes up here. So, Aaron, sit back, have a little go on this, right? At 23 years old, this boy has 16 for decision-making, 17 for vision, 15 for passing, 17 for technique, 16 for flair, 15 for long shots, 16 for free kick taking, 14 for composure, anticipation, dribbling, finishing, determination, and pace. Yeah, he's all right, isn't he?
Yeah. Where did he snap him up from?
What's he suffering from? He can't
No,
jump.
where did he snap him up? Where did he get him from?
Oh, like Hadjic split. Hadjic split
okay. Okay,
in
so
Croatia.
just before this conversation, I was talking about the Croatian fullback. That's literally the team that he plays for as well.
Yeah.
Ivan Perisic is also there.
He was from there, wasn't he?
Yeah, he played there. He plays there now. So if anyone's wondering,
because he played the end of the season, didn't he? He went for a quid.
Yeah. I just watched him. I was like, wait, he was just at Tottenham. What's happening there?
So this guy had a £4.8 million buyout clause. We scouted him at the end of the January transfer window, the previous season. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was looking, going, I'm not buying him now, because if we buy him now, it's going to disrupt the squad because he can't get registered for the Champions League. So he's going to kick off. So his release fee was going to expire in February.
Yeah.
I was saying, and this is sort of a bit of forward planning on my behalf here, I let the transfer window close. And of course, I went straight after him and bought him a couple of days after the transfer window closed, going, right, let's get you in for next year. In those 2 days, he managed to break his leg. Only a little break, nothing major. And everyone's like, oh, he's not going to sign, he'll fail a fitness test. I was like, no, because he doesn't sign until July. So he's got all that time to get fit. So put it through. He signed. He's come over in the summer, and he's wonderful. He's wonderful. He looks great in the match engine. He's playing his little sort of like outside of the foot dink around people. He just sees things other people can't see. We also got a defender in from Shakhtar called Dmitro, who's a Ukrainian 23-year-old. Similar situation. We signed him on a free transfer to join in July. We could have paid the money to get him in January, like a couple $100,000 or whatever. But I was like, we've got enough centre backs. Let's let him cook over in Ukraine and bring him back, and he'll be good. So those two have come in, and then we picked up a left back. Now, I think I told you about my left back last season. Got him for a free transfer from Inter. He got 20 assists. We sold him for 20 million quid. We had to replace him. We mentioned that on the last stream. The last episode, sorry. So Vinicius, who was the Brazilian Greek replacement, very, very good, very effective. He maybe weighed in with 14 assists, I think. And a couple of Middle Eastern Saudi Arabian clubs again started sniffing around, and I was like, you know what? I think he's maybe overperformed his ability. Like the tactic is really getting the best out of him, but I don't know if he can do it for another season or not. And there was this lad was released from PSG who I've not seen before, because obviously he's a new gen. And he had so much. He had acceleration of 17. He had crossing of 14. He had tackling of 15. And I was like, I think we're going to level up by getting Vinicius out and getting the French lad in. And he was wanted by Lyon. So we beat Lyon to his signature for free. And then we sold Vinicius out for another 8 million quid. So I've made like just shy of 30 million quid on left backs in the last 2 years and paid nothing for any of them. Like, they were all on free transfers. I was like, that's how you do Moneyball, surely.
I was going to say, though, this actually could possibly, maybe not a whole episode, but I was thinking, could we be wasting time sometimes on certain players trying to find a certain quality when your system will make that player perform regardless of the quality? Like your system is just tailor-made for a specific role, and because they're all professionals, right? So like, I'm guessing what I'm trying to say, if you've made a system where your fullback has 10 seconds to cross the ball, doesn't matter then if his crossing is on 17 compared to like, I don't know, like an average 11, 12. Like, he's going to have the time to pick out the cross and that sort of thing, and possibly has so many opportunities to do so as well. Or he could have more to aim for inside the box, that sort of thing. Because I'm trying to picture, because I remember my narrow 4-3-3, right? And I was always trying to find this perfect right back. We got injuries, whatever. And then I had this fairly defensive right back, and it was just like, wait, he's performing better. But what I did realize is because he's defending a lot better, but he's also still able to get those assists and get them further forward. And a lot of the goals, like if he's crossing, it might not be a pinpoint cross, but he's just putting it in the box where we've got 4 or 5 players. The ball's sort of bound by chance to fall to one of our players, sort of thing. That's possibly a question for some people.
I think it is a question that we can expand upon even in this episode, because
yeah.
it leads into previous discussions we've had about plug and play doesn't quite work the same way that everyone thought it did in this version. I've banged the drum so many times saying, for me, I'm building a system based on the players I have, and I'm trying to get the best out of those players. My system won't work for you. Like, you will take my system and you will either get better results from it or worse results, because your players are different and you're not going to be looking for the same thing. And I am recruiting in a very specific way. So I'm loving a wing back on attack. Last year was complete wing back on attack. I love that, because I'm playing this box formation now. My width is coming from my wing backs, and I've got my left back, who was Vasanen, then became Vinicius, is now Prizo. They are told to get forward, get forward, and they're on attack, so they're getting to the byline, right?
Yeah.
So they've got to have good acceleration, they've got to have good stamina, they've got to have good decision making, like, because they've got to know when to go, they've got to know when to come back. Their anticipation's got to be fairly decent. But ultimately, like, if you were to recruit a wing back in a different system, you might look at things like jumping reach, because you want to intercept the ball when it comes. We said in the last episode, tackling. We're predisposed to believe that tackling is the key metric and the key attribute for a defensive player.
Yeah.
But the best players, the best defenders, don't tackle. So we're looking at that, and we all do it every single time we look at a centre back. He's got this for jumping reach, he's got that for tackling, that for marking, and it just rattles off, doesn't it? Like, he has to have good tackling. It's like, but maybe he doesn't. Maybe he needs anticipation, and it depends upon the way your system plays. As to how you get the best out of these players.
But there's just so much things involved, and I'm guessing other people as well. Like, it's difficult, right? Because on Football Manager, if your defender's you're in the Premier League and you're Liverpool, so you got now to remember Van Dijk's tackling's on 17, if I remember, and just his all-round game, his current ability is just very high. And you've got Konate as well, very high. Sorry, now you might find this other centre-back, bring him in, and you're looking at it now at a view of, well, my centre-back doesn't need great tackling, blah, 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 blah. But Football Manager is also sort of judging this player as well, as in, well, he's not good at tackling, so he's not as good as Virgil van Dijk. Now, when you're setting up your team and stuff, it might even be subconscious. Like, your eyes might not be looking at the stars, but it's glazed over the stars, and you can't help but think, my centre-back is on 2.5 stars. It's always going to feel risky to play Virgil van Dijk and then a centre-back of 2.5 stars. No matter if you are religious by the stars or not, you can't help but the fact it's going to question yourself, like, is he good enough? The whole sort of thing. And again, it's because you've looked at it, you're looking at now a centre-back who might have some great passing ability. Your system might actually think he's a 4-star defensive midfielder, but as a centre-back, he might not be it to your coach. But I think sometimes that plays on us a little as well.
100% it does, 100%, because I've been sat building this squad, and I've had people in my stream shouting at me for weeks, going, "You're building all these you're building this squad, and you're not playing half the players." And I'm like, no, because they're not ready yet. Like, I've got a plan, and I've got players that will fit in for certain roles. And what I've now done, because I've trimmed the squad down, rather than looking for replacements to go and buy players, I've started to look to retrain players. And I've looked at someone and gone, right, okay, you're not going to be. So I've got a player called Li Jinming, right?
Yeah.
Chinese midfielder, really good. He burst on the scene when he arrived, was fantastic in that attacking midfield central role. The system's changed. We're not getting as much out of him now. Bilic is clearly a better player. Nemakube, a South African player we've had in, was a better player than Li Jinming. And I've got a Greek lad called Vasily, who I need, of course, for registration purposes, who, again, is quite a good player.
Yeah.
So I've sort of compared them all and put them all under the sort of the comparison chart and like the little diagrams that they've got where you sort of work out, everyone's abilities and trying to sort of like go, right, attributes wise, where are they? What can they do? And I thought rather than selling Li Jingmin, which I probably could have done, or selling Nemakube, which I probably could have done, I figured we've sold Bergval and we're not going to find a Regista, but Li Jingmin and Vasily have probably got the attributes to play Regista. So if we spend a year retraining them, the reason I'm training both of them is because my plan is to move Job to Libero and move him back again.
Oh my God, to in goal. You can keep moving the back.
And then he's going to be an Enganche. Like, because again, I'm thinking more about how this is probably the question, isn't it? Is when do you get rid of a player? When do you realize that you can just let go and you trust that new player who's beneath? Because we had to let another centre back go, a lad called Benevenuti, who is a libero and he's 6'5".
Yeah.
But I've got a couple of young defenders who could probably slot in and they would benefit from him not being there.
Yeah.
He's good, but he's not, like, it's not a major issue if I put those two young lads in. The question is, when do you commit to putting these new young lads in and breaking the team down and trusting the youth? Is that the question? Well, I guess so many questions on what today's show is.
Yeah, well, I guess that's the pressures of real life management, right? Like, people just think, obviously, I don't know, Man City. I don't really want to use Manchester City as an example, but Pep was like, it's easy to say, yeah, he spent money, but at the same time, losing big players year on end, it's actually fairly difficult to do these sort of mini rebuilds each year and still be successful. And even like, if you look at Arsenal as well, for an example, we might just lose a Granit Xhaka. But for us, that's still a big miss because now we've got to find a central midfielder who can instantly come in. That's the thing, it has to be instant.
Yeah.
And they have to transition well and you've got to get results ASAP, quite literally. And we saw the effects. Arsenal are a very good team. Like, you've got 11 players on the team and just one questionable area can literally just make a whole different mess up. I won't say mess up because Arsenal, I would say you're finding your dynamic rather than mess up a dynamic. You're finding a new dynamic, right? The left-hand side was Zinchenko, Xhaka, and Martinelli the whole of last season. Start of this year, the first game, it was Timber, Havertz, and Martinelli, I think. It's just complete different dynamics, even though we all know Timber's a good player. Havertz, I mean, people have their opinion, but overall, these are like the best of the best players around the world football. And yeah, even they, it's going to find it difficult just to come in and just instantly get results. So those are the pressures that is in real life as well, I guess.
I think so. And I think like Xhaka's a great example because I think, again, from being removed from the situation myself, looking at a team like Arsenal, for years, everyone's been saying Arsenal need a defensive midfielder.
Yeah,
and you sell a defensive midfielder. It's like, you haven't got one. Why are you selling another one? You need a one to replace him anyway.
And it's all that thing then Arteta himself now has to trust what he's doing, and he has to trust that he's signing Kai Havertz, who played a lot as a striker, and now all of a sudden he has to trust himself that Kai Havertz, look, you're going to play in central midfielder, and I'm going to trust this decision. Obviously, as the season went on, we found out actually Kai Havertz is a very important striker for us, and then again you have to find another way to kind of work it around. But yeah, it's difficult, and as you get that in Football Manager as well, you sell a big player, and it's like you've got this exciting youngster, but you also know he's not just going to kick off his first season with 20 assists. That he has to now replace the person that did get that was 20 assists. Like, it's Phil Foden, right? Like, it's so well. I'm happy that he's done it, but everyone's like, "Oh, KDB's gone," and we all love Phil Foden, but Phil Foden is no KDB. So it's just, we all had that question mark, even though he's good and he's still probably top 3 attacking midfielders in the league. This is how crazy it is for us. We're still thinking, but he is no KDB in that Pep Guardiola system. Even though he's still better, he's a better attacking midfielder than majority of attacking midfielders.
I think it's longevity as well, isn't it? Like if someone's been at the top of their game for a longer period of time, then they get more respect. When somebody bursts on the scene,
yeah,
it's like, okay, cool, let's see what you can do. Like, right, when do you become the guy, sort of thing.
Yeah.
We had a player that we looked at because we were trying to buy strikers, and I've learned from previous experience with, I know JK was brilliant and he did cause us some sort of financial issues by earning more money than everyone else. We saw a guy, again, new gen, Danish and Nigerian player called Samuel Akoya at Michelin, and he was 22. The game says he's a deep line forward, and again, maybe this is something that we can look at. The game said he was a deep line forward, but I saw complete forward.
Yeah.
I saw someone who could pick the ball up in, maybe come deep to the halfway line, pick the ball up, start the transition, start the movement, bring others into play, get on his bike, get on the back end of the goal. Do you remember when we talked about Big Chris last year in the Celtic save?
Yeah.
Scottish guy who could just do it. I visualized this player, and I looked at him and thought, he's the one. He's the one. Right? But at 60 grand a week, he was not the one. He was not the one. So what I did was I changed my thoughts of how the system was going to change.
Yeah.
Because obviously I would have had to have changed my sort of roles within my system to accommodate this player. So maybe would have had to have gone completely different. So I went back and looked at all these players I had on the shortlist and I'd scouted, and I looked at a few times, and there was a lad that we nearly signed on a free transfer who went to AEK, and he wasn't playing, but he was available for loan.
Mm-hmm.
And AEK would let me have him on loan for 10 grand a week. He's out of contract next season.
Yeah.
And I looked at him and went, okay, let's just go back at this guy. Let's see what we liked about him. And, a loan's not bad. We're not spending money. A loan's good. I couldn't look past composure of 18 for a centre forward, and I went, he's coming in. He's coming in. I didn't look at finishing. I didn't look at pace. I didn't look at anything. I saw composure, 18, and I went, that's the guy. That's the guy that works in our system.
This is crazy. The way I'm trying to think now how attributes actually work here, because can you think of a player can you think of a striker who was highly composed but can't finish?
No. Surely it doesn't, it goes hand in hand, right? So
if now my thinking in Football Manager, again, this is probably why a lot of people say it's physicals, mentals, then technicals. Or they all say mental, physical, but always technicals last, because you just got to think of it. If my player, I've got composure 18, but I'm also very consistent, which is very important as well. If I'm very consistent and I've got 18 composure, I don't understand how. I don't understand how when I'm presented with those chances, I'm always gonna have what I think in Football Manager. The composure is about having a steady mind, right?
Yeah.
If I have a steady mind in front of goal, I'm a professional footballer as well. Bear in mind, because I remember there was that big thing from SI about these guys are professional footballers, so the difference actually between some of these digits is not as big as you think it is.
Yeah.
So the finishing of 12 and finishing of 16 actually might not be as big as you think. But the composure attribute, this attribute is the player's steadiness of mind and ability to make intelligent decisions with and without the ball. So if my finish is on a 12, but if I'm 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper, I've got that steadiness in my mind, and I'm going to make that intelligent decision with my finishing choice. So, and by chance ratio, if I'm going through 1-on-1, I should have that bigger chance of scoring the goal. So surely I'm coming out on top. So my attribute, finishing attribute, unless it's 4, I can't kick a ball, then surely I just can't think of a composed striker that can't score.
But even if you have a finishing attribute of 4, composure says you will make an intelligent decision.
And
you'll lay it off. You'll give it to someone else. Jermaine Defoe scored a lot of goals. There's no way Jermaine Defoe's composure was 6. the amount of one-on-ones, that Fernando Torres used to score back in the day. These Robbie Fowler, Henry, these are not players who are just, they're just brilliant players.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all part of being brilliant. It's all of the pieces of the jigsaw.
Exactly. And you can say
take one of those out, everyone used to tear their hair out of players like Heskey, for example. I griefed Heskey years ago, in the stand-up show. But Heskey, people would tear their hairs out of players who get in really good positions and then don't finish. And then don't take advantage. And they're like, oh, he's wasted the opportunity. He's wasted that. Yeah, because he's not. He can't deal in that pressure situation. Mental. He might have the physical ability to score the goal, but if the mental dexterity isn't there, and to be in, I'm going to sound like I'm on fucking Diary of a CEO at this point. Like, if you're not in flow, then
it's true though, isn't it? It is true.
Yeah.
And like, it's not as well that and you can't really flip it opposite way as well. You can't be like, well, if I'm a great finisher, it doesn't matter. No, the composure weight should be, in my opinion, very heavy. So if you've got finishing of 17, but your composure's on 10 or 9, then that is when like you would recognize, okay, you've got that finishing ability, but when you are presented with the chance to bury it, and the lights are on you, and the fans are watching you, and the noise is going on, then maybe you're buckling under that sort of pressure. Yeah. I just thought about that, and again, it's one of those things. It's like maybe the finishing attribute is still good. We're not saying ignore it; it's still good. So I think the finishing attribute reflects the player's ability to put the ball in the back of the net when presented with the chance. So now your player might be presented with a half chance, or he might have his back towards goal, and he can just spin and bang top corner because he's got that finishing ability. Yeah, and that's again will be in star players, but you don't necessarily have to. Going back to the tackling thing, it might not necessarily be a very important attribute, though it just feels something that's just so obvious. Like, it's probably the first thing you think of, right? Striker finishing. What's his finishing? Literally.
Yeah. And this, we've said before, that there's no inbuilt difficulty level within the game. Is it maybe? Because if you're brand new to the game, okay, so say you're brand new to Football Manager and you go, right, how, I need to find a striker. My logic would say strikers score goals, so finishing I want. I want a striker who's fast, acceleration. I want a striker who can heading. You probably wouldn't think of anticipation, off the ball movement, jumping reach, composure. These are all the extra things, but these are the 3 key ones: finishing, acceleration, and heading, for want of a better phrase, which we all know is probably jump and reach, really. You'd have that as your intro attributes. So
exactly.
Are we starting to work out, like, are we now in a position where it's about combinations of attributes that give us the more rounded picture
100%
of a player?
100% as well. I'm just looking at, so I was thinking about, like, you talk about striker scores goals, you talk about Jermaine Defoe, and I was thinking, which striker on Football Manager always scores goals regardless? And Callum You
love and hate Callum Wilson.
And I'm just looking at his attributes, and now, again, it makes sense why he always scores against me. Like, he's one of those players that will always score against me, and he's got those attributes very high that not every player has, and some elite players don't even have it, but finishing 18. So I'm going to go with the finishing 18. He's off the ball 16, work rate 18, acceleration 16, agility 14. So from there, he really works hard. He can move into those channels. He's got good off the ball movement to get into the right places. Mate, the composure is 17. Absolutely no wonder why when he doesn't need many chances to bang in a goal. And I'm looking at his stats here as well. He's got 7 goals, but only 5 starts, 11 sub appearances. But do you know what I mean? He's not getting a lot of chances, but regardless, he is scoring a lot of goals. But it just makes sense. He's got the right attributes, and he's not the elite player. If you're thinking, all right, I need that striker, you're going to go Victor Osimhen, you're going to go Harry Kane, and all these guys. But in the game, there's no thing telling you that Callum Wilson can't score as many, if not outscore these guys.
I almost feel like we're doing the counter argument to attributeless.
Everyone was like, last week you told us no attributes. Now you're making an argument why I should be looking at my attributes.
Musterman, we had a great run, okay, and it was lovely, but we need to skim with attributes now because we found a better way.
But it does go back to the main point of last week, that different ways of playing the game, right?
Oh, 100%, man. And it's like, I think this is why I'm still not quite committing to attributeless skins at the minute, because I feel like I'm starting to understand a bit more of the development of what works together and these combinations, and looking at players that the game tells me is one thing, But I go, no, I see this. And maybe that's where I will become a Musterman attributeless skin player in the future, by sort of seeing and just feeling it out. Because even on today's show, I've said, oh, there'll be a point when I play Job as libero.
Yeah.
Nobody else would consider this. I've played him as a deep line forward before.
Exactly.
I've played him as a regista. I've played him as a box to box midfielder, as a Mazzala, as a centre. I've played him all over the shop because he's got, as I keep saying every week, he's got 12s and 13s and 14s. So he can play in most positions because he's good enough for that league that you can put him wherever and he'll give you nigh on a 7. Just because his ability level is decent enough.
God. Oh Lord.
So so I'm in this. So basically my point was, we've had this summer clear out. 20 minutes ago I started talking about the summer clear out, right? Summer clear out. We've started to bring in the players now from the, not necessarily the youth system, but players who've been on the fringes of the squad. And Musterman again had said, you know what, Tony, I love watching your stream because it feels like every single week is 4-4. And I laughed at that. And then I loaded up the stream the other day and we started the Champions League. Very, very excited to start the Champions League. Looking forward to it. Got ourselves all ready, listen to the Champions League music. Copenhagen, we're coming to town. We're going to go, right, let's have some fun here. 37 minutes into the game, we are 4-0 up. Hey. And I said, this game finishes 5-4, right? And everyone laughed and thought, Tony, you're so funny. This game finished 6-5.
No way.
to us, by the way, I should say. But it got scary. We finished the scoring at 75 minutes. They scored in the 78th and 90th minute. I was just like, 6-3. I was like, I'm hanging on here.
Mental, man.
So we had that. And then, because obviously early season, everyone's bedding in and just trying to work things out, we were 1-0 down to Asteras. We came back and we won 3-1. We scored all of our goals in the last 15 minutes. So that was pretty good. Priso, by the way, the French fullback, pinged on his debut from about 20 yards, edge of the box, boom, swazzed up into the top corner. I'm like, oh, hello, this is why you're here. Lemaire, the lad that we signed on loan from AEK, he scored on his debut. And Bilic scored on his debut. So the three boys have come in and did the thing, thinking, all right, cool, we're good here. And then we play past Jayanya, who aren't very good. And we went a goal down after 3 minutes, and then we conceded an own goal after half an hour. And I was like, oh, no. I've got that sinking feeling. It's an early season defeat. And I switched my tactics up to like this big jumbled up ball of mess that at one point had one centre-half, 2 wing-backs, one's on attack, one's on support, something in midfield, some sort of weird 2 midfield double pivot, and then the rest of the players up top. We pulled a goal back with 5 minutes to go, and I was like, right, fine. Vient, who's our kind of like Giroud sort of player. We talk about anticipation, composure, reading the game. Their defender went to misplace this pass back to the goalkeeper. He spotted it, ran on, and just dinked it over the keeper. Didn't even break his stride and dinked it. I was like, oh, that's filthy. So good. And I'm saying to everyone, game's not over here. Game's not over. Where the momentum was swinging anyway, but we've now got this. And I'm like, right, okay, what are we going to do? I changed my sweeper keeper from support to sweeper keeper on attack. I was going for it at this point.
Got to.
We get a free kick in the 92nd minute. Okay? I'm like, right, okay. And then you get the commentary bit. The goalkeeper is joining the attack. And I'm like, oh, God, here we go, right. The cross comes in. And at the back post, our keeper, boom, heads it in the bottom corner. We've pulled ourselves a draw 2-2. I'm like,
no way.
It's time to say hello to the newest sponsor of the FM show. Everybody, say hello to Full-Time Prints. Full-Time Prints offer a variety of prints to give football fans the chance to remember their favourite football moments forever. They currently offer a range of goals, team sheets, commentary, and league tables. Prints are available in A4 through to A1 and can be bought with or without a frame. It makes the perfect gift for occasions such as Christmas, birthdays, Father's Day, Mother's Day, just because presents. Like, seriously, this is the perfect gift for every football fan. You want to go on the website, browse what they've got. They've got so many things to choose from, whether it's teams, European teams, international teams, moments that happen. And if you can't find something you like, you can even do a custom request. You can create anything you've seen yourself. Maybe you've seen a goal you want to relive. You can have that. Maybe you want to relive the first match you ever attended. Or maybe, if you're a Football Manager fan, you might want to do a custom one just designed for Football Manager that immortalizes your save forever. You can have a print done that has all your trophies, the entirety of the save, the key moments. Maybe you want to relive the Champions League final and have your team sheet and everything on there. You can do that with full-time prints. I'm thinking about getting myself one, and I'm going to put it right behind my head in my office, just behind here. And as a little sweetener for you, we've got a little bit of discount to help you out here. So use the code TheFMShow. We'll get you 10% off your entire order. Go to fulltimeprints.com. Use the discount code TheFMShow. That's 10% off your entire order, and there's free shipping on orders over 50 quid. So go get yourself a full-time print, immortalize that Football Manager save, let us know what you've got. Visit fulltimeprints.com, use the discount code TheFMShow, get yourself 10% off, and remember, free shipping on orders over 50 quid.
I've never had that. I've seen a couple people have it, but I've never had my... I've actually scored. I think I've mentioned it before. I've definitely scored with the AI bringing out the goalkeeper, and then we've got up the other end and scored. Yeah, but I'm a bit jealous. I've never.
Oh, I'll put we've clipped it from the stream. I'll put the clip in the description. I've had a couple of goalkeepers score like in my lifetime of playing Champ Manager and FM, Football Manager, but that moment was just primed for this guy because. Weirdly, when we looked to sign him, the scouts were like, "Yes, he's brilliant, but he's a madhead. Like he's gonna, like his eccentricity is like 17, and it even said he will do things that no one expects." And I'm like, I mean, that could be fun, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, he rocks up, pings in the header at the back post, gets us a draw. So I was like, I think that's a good time to leave the stream at this point.
Oh my days, you could never leave it too late.
Never leave it too late. Never leave it too late. So that was where we were in terms of FM this week. Trying to pick a topic to talk about, which I think we've sort of gone around a few houses, to be honest, haven't we? With what we could talk about. Feel free to let us know if there's any of this stuff you want us to come back and really expand upon, because I think there is some interesting discussions to be had there. We've put some things out on Twitter and in Discord, and one thing that jumped up, someone actually asked us, Epiton86 in Discord said, podcast idea, best version of Football Manager / Championship Manager. Maybe this has already been covered. It hasn't, but I like that idea.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea, is it? At all.
So stick a pin in that. That's coming at some point. But they also said on this one, so Epiton, you get a double, but I think we're going to go with this one. Thoughts on international management? Could it be better?
Oh, it certainly can be. It certainly can be better. I don't want to say not that it's terrible because I haven't actually played it a lot, but I definitely feel it can be better.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a good time to ask the question because obviously we are in the middle. We're in the middle of leading up towards the Euros, Euro 24. And I will say, Aaron, we've mentioned this previously. You're a big fan of the stickers, and you got yourself involved. And I was like, I'm not doing it. I was wrong. I've got the stickers as well.
Oh my God. Yeah, we bought the tin, but my boy, he's just every day. Can I open one? We
were talking about whether we're going to open some packs on the stream and for the record, and I'm like, I was like, oh, the shop shut. I haven't got any, but there's some that I haven't stuck in. Right, so this is some of the ones that I've had so far that I haven't stuck in. I've got a legend Fernando Torres,
Ooh,
which is a great one. I feel like this would make a TikTok, right? Fernando Torres. We've got Rasmus Højlund. That's not too bad. This is all from multiple packs, but not from the same pack. Nico Williams. Big up yourself, Nico. Church. I think it's Portugal, maybe. A bridge in Germany. Yeah, because it's part of it is just they'll give you places of interest. I think you got like the Bureau de Change and like a train station or something. Ryan Porteous, Scotland. Locatelli is quite got a couple of Greek lads. They go for the Greek team. Shiny Broha. Oh, there's Perisic. There's Perisic in there. Hamburg Stadium. Gareth Bale legend card.
Crazy, isn't it?
Mr. Football Manager himself, Antoine Griezmann. Yeah, that's our boy. Antoine, if you want to come on a podcast, Aaron's just learned French. So bonjour, Antoine. Je m'appelle Antoine.
Oh, yeah.
We've got some shinies. Shiny, I mean, he plays, well, you know, for Football Manager, shiny SMS is pretty good, right?
SMS, Milinkovic.
Shiny Højbjerg in gold.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
Trent Alexander-Arnold, and there you go. You can have Trent Alexander-Arnold. My boy Otavio, he plays everywhere on the game. Shiny Mikkel Damsgaard is good as well. But this is the one that I'm excited about. This is the one. Oh, hang on. Arda Güler. FM Wonder Kid. But this is the guy. This is the one. This is the one that hasn't even been stuck in yet, Aaron. The legend card.
Legend of the
Lothar Matthäus.
My son's going to have no idea.
Oh.
This ain't
Lothar Matthäus. Like a German Joe Bellingham.
I've seen actually Crystal Palace are interested in Joe Bellingham.
You know what? Someone like so someone had posted out, and it's the what's he called, like Hiltko, the guy who does a big shout out to him, by the way. We're trying to get him on the show. I sent him a couple of DMs, and I'm like, you want to come on the show, do you? So we're hopefully going to try and get that locked in at some point. Fingers crossed, that'd be massive. And I said, you know, that he's I said Bellingham's possibly the long-term replacement for Elise. And of course, that went down like a ton of bricks with the Crystal Palace fans going, what are you on about? I'm like,
yeah.
No, it will be. Trust me. I think Palace is a good move for him, I think.
Yeah, it is. Same as that Adam Wharton, right? That move worked out amazing for him, And
Rob Morgan Rogers to Villa as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we had someone in the stream the other day going, how come it's only Sunderland and Birmingham fans that say Bellingham's good? And I was like, because they're the people who've watched him.
Well, you say that. The Morgan Rogers, Middlesbrough's own fans were thinking, we stole 8 million here.
Yeah, and then going, 6 months we held out for 40.
We didn't get enough. So can you imagine that's their own fans that didn't even see it? But that's what it is, isn't it? Like, football these days, it's not more about like the... I guess it is and it's not. Like, I was going to say, it's not so much. There is going to be data, and people are looking for specific data, but it's not always the person that's doing the most step overs and got the most goals all the time. A lot of these times, people are looking like for very specific profiles as well. So there might be something that Crystal Palace and the manager sees in Joe Bellingham that suits his throughout the back formation perfectly well. So even down to Sunderland fans, if Sunderland fans can't see why a Premier League club could want it, maybe the Oliver Glasner can see a Joe Bellingham in his system, which obviously 100%. A system that you're not using.
100%. And I think again, this is definitely an episode, is that recruitment model. We mentioned it a little bit a couple of episodes before about creating your own recruitment model and what's your recruitment focus and how do you build for specific things. But you're right, like, you know, like Job might be getting used as for a Football Manager term, a shadow striker, maybe at Sunderland, but Glasner might look at him and go, you know what? No, I think he's box to box, so he's going to put him in that position. And obviously, you know, Sunderland fans have seen him play in one position. And
Bellingham, right? Like Jude Bellingham, when Ramage bought him, was like, oh yeah, he's gonna get the ball, he's gonna pick it up from midfield, and Ancelotti's like, nah, he's just gonna play right behind the two strikers, and he's gonna score a lot of goals. We're gonna see, like, we've just seen a new Jude Bellingham. Like, people didn't really. I don't think anyone would have predicted. He might not score as much again in the next season, but you can sort of see the work that he's doing at Real Madrid and the system and where they see him in the system. And for sure, that's going to carry on. Him getting in the box and trying to get on the score sheet and that sort of thing. That's just going to keep going. But you wouldn't before have said that's like a main part of Bellingham's game.
Arsene Wenger with Henry, he bought a left winger and he went and played him up top, and everyone's like, really? It's like, no, he's a striker. He's not a winger. He's a striker. And it's like, oh, that seemed to work out reasonably well, didn't it?
Yeah, hoping it would have worked out for Theo, but not.
yeah. Or Gareth Bale, left back to centre forward. Yeah. Like, okay, that's quite a shift, but
because you push back, don't you? Rather than Saka left back, and now he's a right winger, like literally on the opposite side of the pitch.
Yeah. So international football then, Aaron, come on. It's kind of a bit of an elephant in the room, really, for some people. Like, I've just finished Euro 36 on my stream, and I'm currently managing as Greece as part of my Build a Nation. I've been in the under-19s manager's job. I've been in the under-21s manager's job. Steve Clark eventually left the Greece national team job when he retired, sorry. And then I took over. And I'm doing it at a point where there's not many original players still left in the database. So I've got a lot of new gens in there. And I had 3 matches in the tournament. And that was it.
That's the
exactly. Yeah. I mean, look, we had a 100% record, and it was 100% of losses. So we lost all 3 games. We scored in every match, but we lost every single game. And I was like, oh, there you go, that's done. It's over.
Tournament football, though, isn't it? Oh my God, man. I remember when I was young and playing tournament football, like, it's daunting. Obviously every person is different, but I was never one to get nervous, but it was always tournaments, and it's like, because we would travel from, like, I lived in North London, and it would be like always going to East and South East and that sort of thing. And it's like, oh my God, can you imagine we've done all this travel? We're just going to get knocked out in the first round. Like, that plays in your head on the way there. Yeah. It's just like, oh my God.
When I was young, when I was a kid, I used to do judo. And I remember the first competition I did, I turned up and I was like put on my back after like about 3 seconds. I was like, oh, that's my day finished then.
You have these doubts and you turn up to the event and you're seeing everyone else warm up and you're like, yeah, I'm definitely going home.
It's like that Bart Simpson minute where he goes in the home, Grandpa Simpson turns up and walks straight back out again. And that was me. I was just like, this is great. Thanks. Man. So what can they do then? What can Football Manager, what can SI do to make international management fun?
And that's the end of the show. Man, it's a tough question, but I don't know. Like, there's things like training is just non-existent, right, in the game whatsoever. So that's like, I don't know if it's something that's going to make the game more fun, because even in the full version using clubs, not everyone uses training anyway. So, and it's difficult, right, because you are the national club. You're not the national club, the national team. You're not the club. So it's not like you can start retraining players to play in different positions,
or even having a long-term training plan.
Yeah, exactly, because he's not your player. So then even the training, I kind of get it. But there's no preparation for your camp. That's number one. So if I'm going into my summer camp, I want to be able to have a plan to put forward to the team. And like the training plan, right? Like, this is what we're doing on this day, this is that, blah, 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 blah. And again, that might be able to help you with the team cohesion and just something that's fun and interactive.
You get a lot of international tournaments, let's say big teams, Holland, the Netherlands, they always fall out in international tournaments. There's always, every single year, there's reports of the bust-ups in the camp. So if you use Holland, the Netherlands as an example, if you know that historically that happens, you're going to want to, if you can take charge of training camps or preparation, you're going to want to put in those team building exercises, that team bonding in to make sure you can kind of eliminate as many of these problems as you possibly can. You've got a conflict of different personalities like you have at club level, but over the club level, you've got 36 to 38 games
yeah.
to get those personalities to work together.
Yeah.
Whereas you've got 3 weeks in international football. If it's a tournament, for example, or if it's a one-off, you've got 2 weeks.
Yeah. Even like, I don't think you do it in real life, but even just picking your camp, like where you're going. Like you do it in Football Manager in your preseason. And again, back to that argument, but you're the manager, you don't do that. Again, like maybe I can't, in my back of my mind, I can't see Ange picking a preseason literally right as the season's ended. And that's what Tottenham and Newcastle did. And I can't imagine Ange set that up. So
he's not picking the preseason
yeah.
tournaments, is he? Going, you know what? I'd like to be in a tournament with Bournemouth, Tigres, and Yokohama F. Manoros. Can you make that happen, someone? Just
maybe even that, like you're going to a World Cup in Germany and you get to pick the city that your team are in their camp because, you know what I mean? Teams are being different hotels and whatnot. Just little things like that should make it feel more involved. I don't think there's any engagement at all with the international management.
But on the flip side of that, if you did that and it had an effect, would it put people off? Like if you say, for example, you wanted to stay in somewhere quite quiet, for example, okay, and you're like, right, we'll stay in a quite quiet place. It's gonna be great, but unfortunately, the personalities, have meant that they would have wanted to be somewhere slightly more cosmopolitan. So it's actually caused more problems. The fact that they're in this quiet space, there's no effort to exert that energy. Again, I mean, that's been historical in the past. England camps, I suppose, have been the same. Like they've been cooped up in places, and then these big players have gone and done silly things, or they've been, and there's just too much available, and that backfires again. Like
I don't know, but I think you should. I don't know.
But it's all part of tournament planning.
It's all part. It's all part of the game, and it's one of those. It just makes the game interactive, and it's some of these things are in the game. Like you can, when you're doing the club management, if you do bad team talk, you might not necessarily have the exact control of when players are going to come to your office and start complaining about your team talks and that sort of stuff. So, do you know what I mean? And there's even like let's say, like you don't want to do your team talks and you're the person that gives it to the assistant. The assistant might mess it up a few times, but that's in the game, and I don't think then that player should complain that. Well, you know what I mean? Like, this shouldn't be in the game. It's messing up my team cohesion. Blah 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 blah. Like, it's just part of the game, sort of thing.
Is there
at the moment
rivalry?
There's no, like, I wouldn't say difficulty, but at the moment there's just nothing like really affecting international in the game.
Yeah,
is there? There's no like effects. Like even if you sack the captain, if you just randomly change the captain, do you get that? Different. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Do you get that thing at the door like, hey, why have you removed me, sort of thing? And I think that sort of thing you can.
Is there any sort of like club rivalry or that? Like, does that sort of play anything in international management? I haven't seen it personally. I don't think there's any sort of like.
But I think Football Manager might want to avoid that legally, possibly. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe, but
especially with real players. Especially with real players. They don't want to be like James Milner has an issue because he's from Crystal Palace, and James Milner's like, what? I don't have an issue. I'm boring Milner.
Yeah, but I think. Oh, look at me! I drink tea.
Oh, I hate Palace.
Like a point I made, and Sweet Left Foot again. Shout out to Sweet Left Foot, by the way. Former streamer, the owner of Full Time Prince. You've seen their adverts in the episode. So if you are looking for something for Father's Day, get yourself a Full Time Print. It's an extra plug at this point, as Aaron's gone off to get one. I think possibly.
Yes. Now I hope my camera does it justice because I've done this in a stream and it didn't. Oh yes.
Look at that.
Oh no, I've got the zoom in. Oh no, I've got my camera.
Hold it back.
I've got that autofocus thing, and it's like focus on my face. Look. If I put my face on it, then maybe
this is dreadful for the audio version of the podcast. For the video version, it's not much better, I must admit.
But yeah, it's a nice print, and you could actually choose whatever. So basically, it's like Football Manager dots. This is what really gripped me. It's like the 2D dots, and it's like recreating a famous moment from a team that you support. I could have picked any moment, but I literally got the last goal at the Highbury Stadium, which was a penalty. So I've just got people on the edge of the box. You don't have to. There's no imagination involved. So usually, that these things, it's imagination, right? Because it has lines that tell you where the pass was made and stuff. It just has Henri running straight line.
You didn't even get the Tony Adams for the Invincibles one where you could see Twinans running. You just went with literally a penalty.
That would have been a lovely libero little run arrow. But I knew it as well. But I was just like the moment for me, especially as well. It was just a big moment for me. So
yeah,
for me, like I was a player or like I was the coach. But yeah, as a football fan, as an Arsenal fan, yeah, the last game was a bit. I remember like everything, where I was and everything.
That's huge, man. It's huge. But we're saying
it's on the spot, right? Like, what moment do you want? I'm like, well, like all the moments. Suddenly, you can't remember anything, and it's just like the first thing that comes to my head is like, oh yes, this moment.
Yeah,
and then you send it in, you're like, oh yeah, but I could have picked that one or this one, you know. But yeah, I'm still happy with you. I love the color as well because of the kit. We was burgundy and gold that year as well. So just a beautiful, beautiful print.
So we spoke to Sweet Left Foot, who again, we'll try and come on the show at some point. Who works, of course, now for SI, and I said to him that my problem with international management, I feel, is that nobody loads a game up just wanting to do international management. Like, it feels like it's something you do while you're in your save game.
Yeah.
And it's, you got your club and you're loving that and you might take the national team job. Or if you've been sacked, you'll take the national team job because there's a tournament coming up and then you'll look to keep getting a club because you don't want to just do international management because international football is a bit boring. Really, like in reality, it is like you don't buy Football Manager to manage 8 games a year, do you? Really?
No. But they can. But like, I hate using FIFA, but they've done Euro games, right? Where like I've played it and thoroughly enjoyed it. Now, obviously, the playback isn't going to be great, but obviously, the difference with Football Manager and that is that Football Manager will be involved in the actual Football Manager game anyway. It's not like a separate game. Whereas obviously the Euros game on FIFA was a separate game.
Yes.
But I feel they can have, so like now what they've done with this year's Champions League, the whole build up, like with the cup draw, you've got the Champions League music playing, the blah 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 blah. That is what. So if you want to do international football, maybe it doesn't start at the start of a season where it's just like press and continue all the way you get to like the first squad. Maybe like if you wanted to do Euros, you've got that game mode to play Euros.
I think
you've got the game mode.
Though,
obviously, it's not in
the licensing, wouldn't you? And of course, it's only going to be for that
but again,
specific tournament,
game, right?
Because then every other tournament, like licensing wise, would change. Like the Champions League doesn't change licensing as you go through the season. So every year you get the Champions League music. Whereas
but not necessarily like the music and stuff, but just like
Euro 28 is going to be different. The World Cup's going to be different.
But not necessarily like a whole. So yeah, not necessarily the music and stuff, but just the theme change. Like you know it's the Champions League. Like just everything changes. Like even when you do the cup draw, the colors and everything, like it just feels like you're in something. You know what I mean? Like something's happening. Whereas the international one is just a bit bland and. I guess like license they haven't. There's probably got some cool ideas that they would like to have done, but they can't get a license for it, whatever. But yeah, I don't know, man. I just still thinking having those sort of, if people just want to have a fun Euros that they can't have that on Football Manager, they would have to do all of this, go on holiday until this and that sort of stuff, which is fairly annoying. But even in game when you're managing a club, and then you finally take over the international thing. How to make that bit fun is.
Do you think that it could be something along the lines of increasing the press involvement in maybe like leading up to the tournament? So I don't know whether you'd need 1 year or maybe 2 years. So like obviously your qualification period is 2 years, right? For a tournament. So Euro 24, qualifiers started in 22. There's always going to be discussions in the media about, right, okay, how did that tournament go? The nation, the fallout. There's no discussion after the end of the tournament in game as to whether this is like, that nation's then gone on. Like, is this the final time this nation's going to do anything? Like, is it the golden generation? Is it
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah,
team to look
yeah.
out 4 years down the line? Like, you need little bits of media hype throughout the year.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah,
this
yeah,
player's
yeah.
play well. Like, oh, do you think you can sort of like nudge yourself into contention? And I know those little bits are in there, but you
Make it
just need to
something.
ramp it
Yeah.
up a little bit, because I think most people just skip through all of the press questions anyway, because as we know, they're
Yeah,
all
yeah,
fairly
yeah, yeah, yeah,
formulaic,
yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
press questions are, even in real life. But there maybe needs to be things that just pull you in a bit more and go like, look, international managers here. He's considering your player. Like, you could be like, hey, just let international gaffers in the house, put yourself a good performance in. That'll do you.
Yeah.
You
Or
might
make it
you,
more
you
of
might
a
see an increase in the players' abilities possibly.
but make it more of a I don't is it a challenge, but like maybe introduce things like play styles, and it allows us. So like again in real life football, we know we look at Brazil squad and we know a lot of Brazilians that have been left out. We're looking at the Italian squad.
Mm-hmm.
We've mentioned earlier that we've seen Locatelli. Maybe they just not suitable. The play style is just not suitable. So basically, what I'm trying to get is that maybe if you're taking over, let's say I'm taking over England, I'm playing a 4-2-3-1. Maybe the formation isn't important, but my playing style is. If I tell my assistant or whoever my international whoever is the assistant, if I tell him this is my play style, control possession, blah 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 blah. And when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to now searching for players to select, maybe in the attributes it's got like a green tick or an X tick, letting me know green tick, he's comfortable with the playing style or he's currently playing in that playing style, or then the
Mm-hmm.
cross that allows me to know that he's not playing my playing style. So then I know that I don't know, maybe just add a little, I want to say realism, but just imagination. I don't know I literally don't know what it is. But let's say I'm building a possession based side to go into my
Mm-hmm.
thing, and then rather than calling up someone that's at no disrespect to Palace, but let's say someone at Palace who's playing more direct ball, or
Mm-hmm.
compared to someone at Wolves who are building up from the back, like I might have a confusion of who to pick. But just letting me know that the guy from Wolves
Mm-hmm.
will be can come into my team and have a better team cohesion right from the start due to that play style, then that can just make things more interesting. Because then again, I'm not just picking players based off, I don't know, just really nothing really.
Attributes
Like, yeah,
and
attributes
yeah.
and
I wonder whether that's something you can discuss with the FA. Like, when you take the job, like, you could sort of like say, look, because there's no interview really for an
yeah, yeah,
international
yeah,
job as well. It's just a case of the international FA want to offer you this job. Do you want to take it? You get this amount of money, yes or no? Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
so maybe there needs to be some sort of more. There needs to be more of a process to get the job.
yeah.
Like,
I mean,
why? Like, we want you to be the coach of the national side because we think you fit with our philosophy of possession-based football, direct football. Like it is with a job interview
I was gonna say just had the
in
team
game.
meeting in game, yeah, like the beginning where you've got the
Mhm.
sort of philosophies and you can kind of negotiate and
Like,
that sort of stuff.
provide a
But
context as to
yeah,
why they want you.
exactly. But yeah, exactly. Like
Because
you.
in
I'm
my
guessing
game,
if you go coach Brazil, the Brazilian fans and the federation might not want Route One football. they
yeah,
might
yeah,
they might want vertical tiki taka. They want the ball played in the middle through intricate
mhm,
areas. Blah 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 blah. Okay, the tactic might not be very specific, whatever, but they just want like the game has it. Like they have game
mhm,
press and blah blah blah. And the game does really well in actually reading what your playing style is compared
mm,
to what's there in the game. So vertical tiki taka, that's what Brazil want, and then you're just sort of buying players that can play in a system. And that's not to say, vertical tiki taka. Now you can only select vertical tiki taka. No, tiki taka, control possession. There can be a cohesion bar where it allows you
mm.
to know like where they're standing. But obviously, if you're trying to build something vertical tiki taka, but then I'm bringing a centre back who's just
Who's a no
constantly just
nonsense?
lobbing the ball
Yeah,
forward,
mm,
yeah, in his team, then you know what I mean. He might not be as up to speed as everyone else.
yeah. Like, on my game, before I got the Greece job, I was offered the Italy job and the France job. Now, what I'm saying there before about you need an interview or you need context, why are Italy or France approaching me,
Yeah.
a manager in Greece who hasn't won anything? Like, I've got to one final. I'm not showing Italy, Greece, the world that I am a tactical mastermind. But if there's context going, hey, you know what? We've seen what you're doing. We like the fact you've got, for example, a 4-3-3 that fits our ideals.
Yeah.
We think you could really do well with this group of players that could take them to the next level. Like
Yeah.
that gives you a bit of like, oh, okay, cool. Like this is maybe why they're looking at me, and you could then have this. Again, you want the fans to either be on your side or against you. Southgate, doesn't matter what Southgate's doing, he can't win over all of the fans in England
Exactly,
anyway, because people think, oh, he's pragmatic, he's boring, he plays a defensive negative style. But then someone else would look at that and go, it's not boring, it's not pragmatic, it's not negative, it's clearly working.
That's another thing, right?
It's like sort of gung-ho.
My thing's like it does. I had for Southgate in my head when I was thinking about the playing style thing. Like people just like, there's a reason why he's picking Harry Maguire. He's not just doing it just for the crack of it. There's a very specific why he's picking Harry Maguire over Tomori, who Tomori is a right-footed centre-back playing in Milan, whereas Harry Maguire is also a right-footed centre-back, but he plays on the left-hand side of the back. But he can also play in the back three and in the middle of the back three. And these are things that Southgate knows about Harry Maguire. But then dropping him, by the way, Maguire's form at England is decent. I wouldn't say great, but just say decent. But then talking about earlier, when do you drop that player? And then when is it the right time to then bring in Tomori? Because even like friendlies, I'm still friendlies. Like even I get a bit annoyed sometimes. Like it's a friendly, just try him. But even those are like, they're very important because they only come around ever so often. So again, like you might be that manager. Yeah, you might be that manager that wants to give these opportunities. But then again, like you've got a person like Southgate who's been fairly successful. Like, are you in that right space to be questioning his methods? Sort of thing. Like, I do it. Don't get it wrong. Like, I do it with everyone. Like, even Pep. Like, sometimes you would question why he did that, but at the same time, it's not like that deep where you're thinking, he's got to go, sort of thing. But
and even then, like on the game, using players in friendlies, as in real life probably as well, you don't really get enough to know whether they work or not, because you don't know how your tactics are working because there's no tactical familiarity, no team cohesion at all.
Exactly. Like, and these are the things that can help that can help introduce team cohesion, having things like the playing style and that sort of stuff. But I was going to say earlier as well, just now, but I don't think that you should be able just to call. Well, you can just call up anyone that you want, but at your own risk. Like I think I can go into Football Manager now and then just start calling up players that have never played, no experience whatsoever, and it has no harm really whatsoever. Now imagine like now imagine that if I'm now got to that point where I have to select my players and it's like, well, it's telling me, boom, playing style, yep, suits, experience and inexperience, this sort of thing that allows you just to weave your way through. Like you might not want to enter a World Cup with 6-7 people making their debut. You might just want 2 or 3 people that's their first experience and that sort of stuff. And again, that could help with all the team cohesion, that sort of stuff. If you have a well-experienced squad, everyone knows what they're doing when it comes to international duty, your team cohesion bar should be very well. That should be high, and that should give you a good opportunity to perform well. Not to say that you're going to get far, but to more likely see what you want to see on the pitch.
Increases your chances and
if you're playing possession football, then maybe you see more of that possession football. But then again, if you're just calling up a bunch of 19-year-olds and whatnot, and that should have its effect on the
you can't have Wonderkid FC, can you?
That sort of thing. Yeah,
really. You could do that over 36 games in the league. Really,
but I think that's what more. I think that sort of challenge, though. Like I keep saying challenge, but that sort of thing might get to people. That sort of interaction might get people wanting to do it more.
Okay, and then obviously the scenario of learning like training penalties, for example.
Yeah. That's what I mean. You're going into tournaments and you can't even train penalties.
Yeah,
like you know what I mean. Like,
makes no sense.
You know what I mean. And then the challenge is then again you've only got so many slots for training, so you might be like, what's more important here? The attacking
Game
movement or
management,
the or
or
the or the penalties, yeah. And then we see that in real life. Sometimes you could just blatantly tell that Italy have worked on their penalties. It's just you just know they have. And some teams might have not worked on their penalties or as much as or put so much thought and detail as in an Italians.
Very quickly, while the show's on, have you remembered, if this is YouTube, to hit like on the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and leave us a nice little comment as well, because that really helps everything out. Makes the algorithm pick us up, puts us in front of more eyes. That'll be great. Gives us a bit of conversation to go with as well. Obviously, if you're on Spotify, just subscribe on Spotify, leave us a little review, leave some comments on that as well, and join the Discord. Come and get in the Discord. Come and have some conversation. That's where it all happens. There's loads of people having some great stuff in there. We can talk tactics, we can talk game modes, we can talk player searches, we can talk real football, we can talk anything over in the Discord. So all those links in the description below. Basically, it helps us. It really helps us get the show in front of the most eyes possible. So if you can do all those things, that would be awesome. It'd be much appreciated. But yeah, back to the show. And it could be those not even just the fact that they're working on it. It's the players that are there with their higher composure attributes,
Yes.
their higher decision making. Those relishes big games, plays more than enjoys big games, dreads big games. Means like this is now. When do those traits play out?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Are you taking a player who, on the face of it, looks brilliant, but says dreads big games? It's like, that is a big game. The World Game is a big game now.
Adaptability as well. Having to adapt to a camp in the World Cup as well. It's not like players talk about it.
But you might look at his season performance. He might have average rating 7.27. He might have, great goal scoring or good assists or like really good, defensive stats. The media in real life will be going, that guy has to go to the tournament because he's the best player in that position. But as the manager going, he's going to fuck up. He's not, his head's not right. Like, there's no jeopardy. Or there's no immersion that there would be.
There's no reward as well, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. Well, we've said that before about other things. Like there's no reward for stuff like. When the European competitions in, like the Champions League and the Europa and the conference, that felt like you achieved winning the Champions League these days. It doesn't feel like you win the Euros. It doesn't feel like you win the World Cup, from what I understand, because I've not done it.
It doesn't. Like we've done it on streaming. It's just like, even just paying through the tournament stuff, it just didn't feel like I was in a World Cup. And
I didn't feel like I was in a tournament, no.
But like, again, like, even you're talking about the license thing, I don't think it's difficult for Football Manager to make a cutscene where it's just like, you can create banging drums, and then just like nice graphics of different logos, nations, just swiping across the screen. Just like you don't have fake people just banging, like, just, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be official logos and stuff, but just that thing to let me know we're in the World Cup and that we've got to win this sort of thing. Like,
I just think when I manage international, and this is the level of like detail that isn't in the game, partly for licensing purposes, because obviously certain nations aren't even playable, like Germany, Japan. But whenever I play, I've got the national anthem on YouTube. because you have the Europa League music, you have the Champions League music. So I put the national anthem on when I'm playing in these tournaments. For me to make it then feel like we're at an international tournament, because otherwise it's a pre-season friendly, essentially.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's how I feel. Like sometimes it's like a bit of a drag, and it's just like, I'll put it on your commentary. That's what I literally do in my every single time, and all the time I get that offer, right, and it's just like, do I? And you're like, nah, this time it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun this time, and it's like, it's instantly forgettable. Like you skip a few days, you do your club duties, and like that's it. You just completely forgot your thing. But
I found we chased the national team job for a while. The under-19s was fun. The under-21s was fun. And I guess because I'm doing Build a Nation, it was helpful because I'm learning
maybe it makes
the players that are in the save. Yeah. But when I got to the national job, I was at a key point, I think it was November, in the save, when Steve Clark retired and I got offered the job. and there was a couple of friendlies, but I was like, oh, it's January transfer window coming up. I'd waited that long to get the national job. I just simmed the friendlies. I was like, I don't really want to do the friendlies. I've waited this long for it, and I didn't want to even play those games. I'm like, I'm more focused on the league right now. And it was at that moment, even then, I was like, this is the second part of the save. Like, if we win something with the national team, great, but it's not about the national team.
Yeah. You don't really want to feel like that as well.
Yeah, you want each game to feel like it means something, and there's a purpose there, and I've found trying to sort of like navigate the national pool as well. It's fine if you know who the players are.
Yeah.
But once you get into like new gen territory, how much time have you got to sit and scout? And I know you can go and watch the games and stuff and find these players, and some of us make little notes on players that score against us constantly, and we're sort of like, oh, they look quite decent players. But ultimately, you end up picking sort of players that you either scouted yourself or players that are in your team.
That happens a lot. I remember doing the Brazil one, and that literally happened. That happens a lot. You just come across people like, oh, I remember scouting him, and he went to Man United, and they're just going to put him in the squad because you missed the opportunity to sign him. And I was like, this is my moment.
Yeah.
That's happened a couple of times as well. But yeah, it's just that there's no connection really with it. There's no connection at all. And even club football, like sometimes people did feel like there was no connection, and the European stuff being involved in the game just made a huge difference. Like a huge difference. Even like Bundesliga, like I remember when the Bundesliga license, and it was like it just felt like a Bundesliga game. Like, you know what I mean? It felt like a Bundesliga gave me this game. Like I'm playing just a Bundesliga football manager sort of thing. And it just felt
interesting.
Yeah. Even like the commentary, like Tor when they scored. That I remember when you go to South America as well. Golazzo, 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 golazzo. That sort of stuff. It's crazy. Like that can it's so small, but it makes actual difference. Like because when I see that golazzo, golazzo, golazzo when we score in South America, like I literally can just imagine a man just screaming golazzo. Just imagine it.
I wonder whether, and I've not played enough international football to know this for certain, but do the playing styles change a lot? So if you're a European side playing against a South American side, can you tell the difference? Because when you manage in Italy, you know it's different. When you manage in Germany, you know it's different. Do you get a massive difference in those teams and those nations? Because it's not like Real Madrid versus Manchester United, because that's international players versus international players. But Brazil versus Germany, that's two different styles.
I think it's supposed to. I think maybe we're not noticing or taking notice of what's going on in the crowd and stuff.
But maybe again, that should be a thing as well. Like, you know, like playing Argentina should feel different to playing Brazil.
Yeah. Maybe it's in the crowd and stuff. I'm trying to think.
I'm just thinking in terms of the players. Like, and again, maybe we're slightly stereotyping here, but you would imagine that Argentina would have a bit more of a Simeone vibe about it. They'd be like, you know, being a bit more aggressive. They'd be in your face. They'd be like going for those 50-50 balls. Whereas Brazil would just be like, stereotypically would be passing around you. It'd be movement. It'd be off the ball. It would be like they'd
also
retain possession.
The manager's playing style as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, you want to be able to see that play out, not in a good way.
Like trying to break Italy down. Like Italy go 1-0 up, and how do you break Italy down?
You also don't want to see Ronaldinho just not making people left, right, and center.
But you do.
Not against me. Not against me at all. I'll be picking Argentina for those games then.
Yeah. Your player has fallen awkwardly. Okay. I mean, I don't know. I think there's a lot to think about with international football, and I think that it's one of those ones where it does need a bit of a refresh. It needs a bit of focus. It needs just something. But I think the fact that we don't know what it needs, Aaron, suggests that maybe we leave it to the people who are a little bit more.
Obviously, not knowing what the capabilities are, right? Like in my head, because I remember saying this about a couple of episodes as well. Back, it's like I've got these things in my head, but it's very difficult to explain it, and it will be something that would need a graphic visualization as well, even if it's like something from a different game. But like this player style thing, like I could just imagine it making a big difference because it's just gonna be like a green bar. You can't miss a green bar,
Yeah.
and that it's just gonna look more gaming was the word that I said before, but look more. I don't know, more modern stuff like that. It gets more what a 13-year-old would expect a game to look like, sort of thing. Have these
Yeah.
green bars and do you know what I mean? If the board wants if the federation wants vertical tiki taka and there's a player that plays vertical tiki taka in his team, that bar will be completely full. If he plays control possession or I don't know tiki taka, then maybe it's about 60 or 75% full. And if you play route one, then it's gonna be in red. Then you know that red straight away you see red, you should know like these things will just cross your eye, and it will just like so like what you were saying about the national pool, right? You don't have to go through each and every player. You could just scroll. You can keep scrolling, and you can see maybe stars and that green thing. You'd be like, "Oh, that's interesting. He's got the green. He can play our playing style, and he's got high stars." And then instantly that draws you to the player rather than having to go through each player.
So with that, and again, maybe it's like you add your own columns like we did last week on the player searches.
Yeah,
There is one on the player search which has a suitability to squad.
oh yeah, something, yeah.
Something like that on the national pool would be great, like suitability for playing philosophy or whatever. Because
Yeah,
you could have someone like I don't know, Ross Barkley played well at Luton, but is he going to be in the international discussion at the end of the season? He's had one season,
And again,
you could have these players going like, "Oh, this player's playing really well."
Yeah. And again, it's not for you. It's not there to be for you to say that because you got control possession now. That just automatically rules out Ross Barkley, but it's just giving you a little guideline, a little reference that having too many of these players will start to have a negative effect. Like, you know what I mean? You're not gonna even in real life. You're not just gonna be able to have an international manager and want to play a certain way, but you're just bringing. Like, obviously, every team sets up differently, but other teams will have an idea of, do you know what I mean? Press high, but you're going to press high in different ways, but the idea of pressing high is still there. You still have the required attributes for pressing high, that sort of thing. But if you want to do that at international football, you've just got your whole front line are used to defending in their own half and at the halfway line. I mean, there's going to be questions when they're pressing high. There's going to be doubts when they're pressing and that sort of stuff. So I think these things, compared to now, if you have two of the front three that are used to pressing, it's not going to have that much of an effect as if you're having the whole front three that are complete or used to playing complete opposite. I just think that these little things can help the game, I think.
Yeah.
And it's not really little. I think it's a big change, but I think it can help the game.
Because I think you're right. I think if you've got a player who's used to playing a certain way at club level and you're making them play so different in the international setup, then there should be negative.
Yeah, exactly.
It shouldn't work.
Again, it's not that one or two that just completely throws off everything. It's like if you've got a 25-man squad and if over half are just not used to what you're trying to do, then that should have a negative effect, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, even for England, isn't it? Like forcing Foden out wide.
Exactly. Yeah.
All the
exactly.
fans play him in the middle. Play him in the middle. You're like, yeah, but I've got this person I need to play here, and that should be
force you to make decisions,
well.
Because you got no decisions to make when you're selecting. You just select who you want. Yeah. Oh, this guy's got a fun name. Just select him, and it just has no effect on your on the thing. And obviously, maybe it takes away but there's no fun element. That's what we're trying to get to as well. Like I was gonna say, maybe it takes away the fun, but there's no fun element in international football. So.
Yeah. So we need to start adding some fun elements. I think we need to start doing. But I think as with everything, hopefully it'll come towards us. Good things come to those who wait, Aaron. That's what I've heard as the phrase. We'll start to wrap bits and pieces up. We went long over the last few episodes, so let's kind of keep it a bit more concise, shall we? This one, we will mention very quickly though, we got an email in. You can email us. You can send us an email at thefmshowpod@gmail.com. It was from one of our Patreons. It was from Gaza Tim. So Gaza goes by the name Gary, if you want to say hello properly. He sent us an email, and this is what it said. It was very interesting, what he suggested. He said, first off, you may not feel like you need my opinion, but here's what I think. And I'm like, well, No, don't start.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
like
Yeah.
opinions. If you have opinions, please get in touch with us and let us know things. Love the show, and I'm a Patreon member, so yes, big thumbs up to you. But there was something I wanted to say while watching the episode about is FM about what we thought for FM 25.
Yeah.
Love listening, but the amount of times I wanted to jump in and say something or type my tuppence was unreal, and it got me thinking. Have you thought about letting other FM players come on the show and join you, not just content creators? Now, he tried to clarify this point by saying, obviously, he himself has played the game for 30 odd years, doesn't do YouTube or Twitch, but, understands the game and has an opinion of it. And I thought that's a fairly, it's a fair point. You know what I mean? And it is, I guess, with us being streamers and YouTubers, people do have a direct access to us, and we are quite conversation and chatty, particularly on Twitch. You can ask a question and we get that instant response. And there is, of course, moments in the shows where it's like, I would want to offer my opinion as well. So go, hang on a second, or hey, you know what, these guys are right. So I've responded back to Gary saying, look, basically, it's unlikely that we'll be having members of the public on the show. Basically, for the reasons, not just because we don't think that your opinions are valid; they're just as valid as ours. It's probably more so in some instances, because we're quite entrenched in our views and how we play the game for entertainment purposes. But as far as the podcast is concerned, obviously, we look sort of at a technical standard for cameras and lighting and microphones and internet connections, all that sort of stuff. But also as well, we've worked with the people who are the guests on the show. We've worked or have had recommendations of people who come on. They've done sort of media style stuff before, so we always know how people will come across. We did consider something possibly as maybe a Patreon exclusive. Maybe Aaron, we might do something there, but yeah, for we love the idea. We love the idea, but in terms of logistics, it's probably not something that we're going to be looking at.
I would have preferred. I know obviously it would have been impossible, but I would have preferred that question come before that episode, because I think that episode actually would have been good as a live one.
Yes.
And that would have been good, because then there could have been questions and suggestions, and we could have just picked out, oh, look, there's another suggestion sort of thing. Yeah, so that could have been another. Maybe there's a possibility of doing another. Obviously, we don't want to bore you with a game that's not even out yet with our wish list. Maybe if an announcement comes out, if an announcement comes out, then we could be like, we can react live to the announcement. And then talk about
things like the positioning we mentioned at the start of the show. Like, what attributes do you think make the perfect striker, or what attributes do you think makes the perfect centre back? We could maybe look to do something like that where it's a live stream. But probably Patreon, I reckon. Maybe we do it public. We don't know. We'll see how it works. But leave it with us. It's an idea to have, and like I say, no ideas are bad ideas. So if you have an idea or a suggestion, you want to drop us an email, please feel free. It's thefmshowpod@gmail.com. Aaron, if they want to get in touch with us via socials, where can they do that?
Through my email, because by the way, I also had an idea that we just completely didn't do today. So this is the.
I'm saving this idea for next episode, because I think it might tie.
Day, right? Me and Tony were panicking, not panicking, but it's like we've got topics, but we want to save some topics as well. Obviously, closer to FM25, where it's going to make a lot more sense to do it. But we're like panicking what to do the whole day. Literally, like an hour before, I was like, "Oh, you know what? I'm gonna sim international, and then like." On the international call-out, we're going to then select our team like live and how we do different ways, but we just got talking about international football.
Well, I think we can start next episode on that, or we got ideas now, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, yeah, you can do a save file
in
the Discord, right?
Oh yeah.
Have a little nosy around. Come back to next week's show armed with homework. You've got homework, everyone, right? How do you pick your international teams? We want to see what you've done, because we might, for example, maybe consider launching a Euros community challenge. So that might be your homework for this week. Then we'll put the save file in the Discord and the description. Go and try and plan your team. Show you're working out as well as to why you've picked certain players. But I think, yes, you can't react instantly straight away to the shows, but do use the Discord because that's a great place for conversations back and forth.
Yeah.
Myself and Aaron are in there quite a lot as well, so you can probably get a quicker reaction that way than YouTube comments. But please do leave YouTube comments as well because they're great, aren't they?
Yeah. Yes. YouTube. Sorry, I was just reading that. You know what's crazy? I was literally in the emails reading. I was literally commenting. I was reading. Oh my days.
You know how I said that like the people on the show tend to have like, have some sort of media training? Like, not everyone, obviously.
Their attention span, Oh man. Also, by the way, you find me at RDF Tactics because I did skip past that question. So that's where you can find me if you're still wondering. Oh my days. But no, comments are great. We do read the comments as well, and that actually helps us come up. So we've had topics like we're thinking, then we read the comment, we're like, maybe not then. This sort of thing, yeah.
Or as you've seen today, comments have sparked the discussion in the show.
Exactly, yeah. Literally, yeah. But we wouldn't have even done the international if it wasn't for the comments, so 100% keep those comments going. That was funny. I was literally in the middle of reading one as well.
Yeah, keep them coming. And if you've enjoyed this and you're thinking, what, I could do with some more FM show in my life. Aaron, where can they find some more Football Manager show?
Oh, you can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Patreon as well, but on Twitter, the FM Show Pod, and on Patreon is patreon.com/the FM Show Pod.
That's the one. And if you do want the Patreon, it's as Aaron says, £3 a month. You'll get extra bonus content. You get early access to the public episodes. They come out on a Thursday for the public. They come out on Wednesday on Patreon. Yeah. And every single Monday, you get a Patreon exclusive episode as well. And they have been, for want of a better phrase, silly recently. So if you think this is serious, just wait. It's a little bit different. But yeah, we're mixing that stuff up as well. We've got some great guests coming up. So I'm sure you will love it. And we've had some watch-alongs, which again are they're fantastic. You get access to everything the second you sign up. So go and have a little look at Patreon if you can afford to support. And there will be a little announcement coming up soon for some things that you might want to be part of. I think we've managed to avoid the Champions League. So that should be just about done now, I reckon. My tea's gone cold. Your tea's gone cold. So I reckon we've probably called that a podcast, shall we? Should we put a pin in that and say that one's done?
That's a Dundee.
That's a Dundee. Excellent. Right. Take care of yourselves, everyone. Stay safe, and we will see you all next week. All the best. Bye now.
Want to learn even more about Football Manager? Subscribe to the Patreon. Just visit patreon.com/thefmshowpod. Don't forget to rate and review, and follow along on the socials at the FM Show Pod.